Hey guys. Sorry, I gotta wake up for this. I want to do a video now, going over episode one of the One Piece Netflix uh, Netflix adaptation. There's a lot to go over. I took hundreds of photos, I think. I'm gonna. There we go. Okay, so uh, episode one. I watched episode two this morning. Uh, really, really want to go into episode three. Maybe I'll do that later. Um, I'm trying to resist. I was trying to do like a lot of people. Are, oh, shit. By the way, people are already doing jumping into. I watch a number of reaction channels, and they're already going into episode three and four. I'm like, no, don't put those up. I so Captain Kuro's the main character. I really want to like see what he looks like because all the trailers hit his face. Unfortunately, who was it I watched? The sort of stupid channel. They have three people there. I know I watched two of them have their own independent channels with geez, why does this do this? Okay, stop that. Three channels with the uh they two of them I follow have their own reaction channels I follow, and they the main channel here put up a thumbnail earlier that shows what Captain Kuro looks like, and I was like, oh, frig, I did not want to see that yet because of I did not want to see what Captain Kuro looked like until I got to it myself, but unfortunately, I got a glimpse of his face, so that's the way it is. So we'll just do the best we can here. I wish it would stop doing that. All right, figure that out later. So, anyways, the my favorite thing so far too, I want to point out that no one else I don't think did. I didn't watch all these reaction their opinions, but yeah, the one thing I like that I know other people are saying is pacing. The pacing of this is great. It strips down everything to what's really necessary to make this accessible for new people. But what I want to point out, especially with episode one, is they did a good job in making Captain Morgan of the Marines a more significant threat at the end here. That's my favorite thing so far about this adaptation that I really came across. Um, but that said, I'm gonna go through some images here and talk about stuff I liked with this episode. I might bring up a few things like that are different. I was thinking about adding more of that, but I'll do that at a later time, perhaps. Like things that are similar and different. I'll bring up some I can remember right away. So right away too, we got here a map. Come on. We have a nice map of some areas too in uh East Blue. Hold on. Come on. Stop doing that. Why does it do that? Why do I have to do it? Hide this thing? Alright. Whatever. Okay. Shut up, bitch. Oh, for to, first thing too is like we go here with into I feel like I should have more to say about this, but I didn't. Except that they did a great job here setting up Log Town. I should have looked up where this is. This is a great scene. This image looks like it's somewhere in South America or Central, or maybe South. Was it South Africa? No. Look at the. It looks like it's got that Mediterranean look. So first thing here too is we got Garp obviously. Uh, what do you call it? Talking to the public and addressing how they've piracy is a scourge, and we bring in Roger. We get a lot of good shots of this actor who does a great job, and the mustache is great. But now I'm still wondering. It makes me think about Whitebeard's how Whitebeard's mustache will look if we get him in the next. Geez, how long will that take? By the way, that's something too. Uh, if they're gonna take if this took a while to do this one season, it's gonna be like 5 years I think down the line before we can get to Whitebeard. Oh no, we can give a little sooner because him and Shanks talk after. Is it right after Alabasta? So maybe at the end of season two. But his big moment will probably be like I'm thinking like a season five. Cause I was trying to break it down like East Blue, Alabasta, Skypea, Ennie's Lobby Water 7, ooh, Thriller Bark, then Marineford, Savarody Marineford, all that stuff. So like 5 years down the line, we might get Whitebeard's stuff epically. The stuff I that's my one of my favorite arcs is the whole thing with Whitebeard and the Marines because it gives us this world building that we needed from outside sources because we were so narrow at the time to see only see it from the Straw Hats point of view. Um, so one of the first big things here is great is these wanted poster things that they do a lot. Um, we get what? In this one, we get Roger, Alvita, and I think Buggy only, just those three. And funny enough, they don't even show Roger's. They 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 do hide Roger's bounty here. They hang on to it till later. Uh, but Jesus, it's almost I almost think they'll have to. They should show it sooner, because we didn't find that out till Wano in about 2 years ago. No, was it 2 years ago? At least 2 years ago. It had to be maybe three. We just found out about his bounty and Whitebeard's bounty, and as well as the other uh, current Yonko. Oh, Yonko at that point. Now with the current Yonko added Buggy and Luffy. uh, so this moment's great because we get we get Roger going up there. We see the crowd. Right there, I think it's supposed to be Dragon actually again. Someone I mentioned that before in one of the trailer reactions I did, but we confirm in here get also get like Buggy and not Buggy. We get Mihawk and Shanks. Excuse me. But this moment's great because it's like Roger's basking in this moment. He's taking all in. He knows he's at the end of his life. He's prepared for what he's about to do, but he's not afraid. Uh, what's with that? Oh, that looks like a weird shot. Okay, so he's up here with Garp. Again, this outfit, this cloak over Garp here looks terrible. Later on, he has a different one on that looks much better. That red on there looks weird, but Roger's outfit looks great. Although I think he's been in prison for a while here, and like I said before, I thought it was a little funny that he didn't have it look more shabby. But that aside, there's Garp's scar, and he's got the world government emblems on there. And we see the world government stuff in here a lot, actually, especially when we're at the main Marineford base that Captain Morgan headed. Uh, and we see, yeah, Roger's really like taking it in here. He's doing, he's doing so good in here. Wait, I should get 1 second. I wanted to, because there's some things here I didn't take note of. Come on, no, not that. I want to do this a second. Hold on. I'm gonna probably have to play the video back a few times, but I'm gonna do it off screen here. There are a few things bother me still that I might have to. Wait, how do I lower this? Like that, and is there something that he said? Let's see. No, 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 no. Oh yeah, one thing here I thought was interesting here. That's what I was gonna say with this face here. He Garp adds one of his charges was conspiracy against the world government, which was something I never heard them say about him. But this one here, but that was no, go back. Come on. That was just interesting. They threw that in there too. So this part's great too because Garp kind of warned him, like says to him, like you shouldn't have caused so much trouble. I warned you, and he's like, oh well. He's like, no, yeah, and he even calls him here Vice Admiral. So they point out right away what his rank is. So he's 22 years ago. He's been a Vice Admiral a long time here. Uh, and again, we got the Jolly Roger thing on his back. And here we go. There's Mihawk. So we get to see Mihawk here. I don't know. I didn't know he was into roses. I must have missed something. My viewings in One Piece. I mean, he looks great here with the sideburns, but he's got this different outfit on. So we definitely see him. Uh, and so he looks. We get to see. So out of the out of the people that we know are here, and I didn't know this. Apparently, smokers here too. I'll get to that in a moment. But I knew that Mihawk, Buggy, Shanks, um, Doflamingo, Crocodile, Moria, Dragon, and wasn't there one other? No, that was it. Seven. That they were all there, and we get to see only a few here in this shot. They don't do Doflamingo or Moria or Crocodile. Or they do definitely Dragon, probably Dragon with that green cloak. I think they're hiding his face because he's. I don't know. I don't know if it'll be at the end of this season or the beginning of next season. I didn't get far enough, but um, it was definitely Mihawk. Uh, yeah, it looks really good. They nailed it. The younger and he's got the eyes going on. Oh wait, someone's looking in the telescope. Look at that. That's awesome. The little things they do in this series is great. I'm still finding stuff out. So Roger here tells about his treasure, and he starts. Actually, what happens here, I guess, is a lot of the people start running right away to their boats. A bunch of them are pirates, and a lot of other people get quite upset with and start. Looks like a riot almost started here. Also, for a second, I was wondering if this was supposed to be like Crocodile, if they were hinting at this being the female version of Crocodile or something, because so many people think Crocodile may have been a woman next to Ivankov. It seemed like they focused on her for a little longer than I thought they would. Then you saw this young Shanks was right there too. So I don't know if that was just accidental. Uh, yeah, we never got to see young Buggy here. And then yeah, this guy seemed like he was in a lot of shots. So I was trying to figure out if he was somebody, but I didn't figure anything out with that. Uh, oh, right there. This is supposed to be young Smoker. I heard. I suppose like according to it's at the end of the end credits have the cast, and you see young Mihawk, young Shanks, and this was young Smoker according to that. If I got that right. Uh, and then we get the pirates stripping out. And then we switch to the present day. So now we got Luffy, and this does a good job of having him do the stuff he does. I think this is following some of this, like sometimes follows a bit more the manga and the anime. I've noticed that's the thing I'm gonna be pointing out a lot. So I don't think they showed his little boat like this in the anime. I'm pretty sure. I know this. I know this is in the manga here, which I got where he's on. I was rereading this. And first to see, can they skip ahead? Let's see. Wait, where did they show that? I know they showed him like my first day. I can't swim. I forgot to look that up now. Wait, did they do that right in the beginning? Huh. I'm sure that was here somewhere. Oh, no. All right, never mind. I know that was in there somewhere where he got caught in a whirlpool, wasn't it? Oh, great. Now I can't find it. I know that was here. Oh, yeah, here it is. Right here. Oh, avoid ended disaster so soon. Oh, here it is, because the page is getting stuck. Yeah, he got caught in a whirlpool instead in the manga here. I don't think they. I don't. I'm pretty sure this doesn't show up in the anime. If I'm wrong, I'll have to correct myself later. And here he's got like a sinking boat instead, and he's talking to the news crew, of course, while he's doing this. uh, right there, who's I know it's got a few newspapers, but we know that oh, and I just saw that says newspaper by the way there. I'm surprised they didn't put like a what is uh Morgan's paper called? Oh, they should have put that on there. But so it looks like sometimes I'm guessing what happens here too. This brought up something interesting. The way I had thought about this with the newspaper later on is that they only came to you if you had a wait, let me move that over a second. My face. I assume they would only come if you had a subscription is what I want to say. But apparently this news crew saw a little boat here and like, oh, I'll come here and see this guy wants to uh buy paper. But Luffy just keeps talking about his ambitions and dreams. And the news crew, when Luffy asks him, hey, do you want to join? He just flies off. So Luffy here, obviously, like I said, there's no whirlpool, but he's sinking, so he gets into his little a barrel full of food he had provisions, and his all his provisions, unfortunately, man, he had quite a bit of stuff there too. He was prepped for days. Unfortunately, all his provisions go down, and he's in the ship, um, in the barrel now, floating away. And then we get to the point here with Alvita's ship showing up, and this is something that's more in line with the anime, I think, in the manga, where where what do you call it? In the only difference here is in the anime, it was like a large cruise ship they were attacking. Yeah, yeah. So in the anime, they're attack. It's a cruise ship we see that is sailing along the East Blue. That's where we first see Nami in that version, and that and she's on there as hanging out, and I don't know what she was waiting for to steal stuff, but she once Alvida's ship comes, that's when she um makes her move and steals a lot of treasure or some kind of rich stuff on the ship. Maybe she's checking other clients' room, passengers who have a lot of money, and Alvida's ship comes along and attacks that ship, and at the same time, uh, Luffy's barrel is floating along, kind of like they show here, and but it was sailors on the cruise ship that bring his barrel in, and and then he breaks out and ends up fighting Alvida afterward. But they had some smaller ship here that they didn't even show what it was, I think, but it does not look like it's a uh cruise ship. Obviously, it's way small. It looks like something maybe it's carrying goods. And I saw a couple shots here where they showed they even put attention to detail here with the that I liked with the her artillery having hearts on it. That's what she's called, right? The heart pirates, I think. And then I like the attention to detail here too with how they light barrels. The cannons. They have to use that wick, and then they put the artillery in and then firing them. So I was just pointing that out that there was a nice little attention to detail that this show does throughout. uh, and we get to this show. As someone else was saying too in my when I reacted to this yesterday, there's quite a bit more a bit of brutality that shows up into this one, and we'll see a bit of that here while Vita comes out with her Kanabo and starts killing passengers on the other ship with sailors. And this is our first shot of her. And I don't remember if this was somewhere, but because she always thinks of herself as so beautiful, we got a sailor here holding, or one of her crew members holding a mirror, which was a great little touch. And then, so she nails this. It goes. So there's one thing with this too. I think I brought this up before, and other people are mostly doing it with Arlong, Alvida and Morgans and Arlong. They're supposed to be much bigger in the in the story, but they're not trying to go for any of that stuff in here. I'm slightly disappointed in this. Maybe with better budget they could, because you've had stuff like this in like Game of Thrones. There's those giants. That one giant, especially, or a few of them, I think that are. There's the one that becomes an ally to Jon Snow, and there are a couple others when they made the siege at the wall, and they do a good job making these guys. And I know that one actor was a really tall guy to begin with, but not. But then he was like 6'10" or something like that. But then they make him look like he's like 15 feet tall or more. And I kind of hope they will do that later with Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido. They really, I think, need to make those three especially be really tall. If Even if they got just like an actor that is like 6'10", or even close to that, and then they can make them look taller, especially with Kaido. I don't know how they'll do it with Big Mom. Maybe they can find a woman that tall. they I really want to see them like that because those guys are the Yonko and they're the most imposing pirates of the sea, and so they need that height, I think, to make that effective. But I almost feel like they should have done it with Morgan. So the actor who plays Morgan's in here, Morgan, Captain Morgan, as we get to, he looks intimidating with his facial looks, but he still looks a little small. So when he fights Zoro. I'm a little like, and again, they made him look more. The fight was tougher for them. They showed that off, but he was still so tall in the other thing. But I hope they do that better with other pirates. later. Doflamingo, I could get by in that. He's tall in the show in the other story too, but he's not. He doesn't need to. I'm trying to think of anyone else who's really tall. We'll see how Kuro and others are. But anyways, yeah. Um, so yeah, we get her. See, clever too. I just realized too. So she's the second wanted poster we get here, but they don't bother showing her. Wait a minute, let me get this out of the way. They do not bother showing her. Uh, sorry. They show her bounty there in a big blazing fiery letters. But they did not with Rogers. Again, like I brought up a moment ago. So that's funny how they did that. I'm hoping. When could they show Rogers' bounty? Maybe when Rayleigh shows up at Sabaody, if they get that far. So anyways, Alvita does a really good job here. See, they only had that image in the trailer, so I was like, oh, is she gonna be terrifying? But she is. They do a great job, and they do it here by having her killing so many of these other I didn't get a lot of screenshots. She's on the other ship, and she takes out like 3 or 4 people uh, on camera, and and the ship too, by the way, looks really good. I don't know how much that must be some CGI or something, but they did a good job there. That one looks less CGI than Garp ship does later. So then the part we find out here, she raided this ship because she was looking for Zoro. I guess in this plotline they're making it where Zoro, she fears Zoro's coming after her, and she's trying to preemptively take him out. And Zoro took a passage on this ship that they were on that she just raided, and but then he ended up at a different island that they mentioned. And I don't think that island was in the other stories. I don't recall it that being mentioned ever. But so she's looking for Zoro. Also, this is for Shakobi. So she talks to this guy here, and he's like, "See, yeah, Zoro was there with a list of people he wanted to go after, but you weren't on there." And she busts this guy's skull open off camera, and actually, now that I think about it too, with how brutal Vita is, I'm surprised her bounty isn't a little higher. But I understand they were trying to like scale it because we got her, then we jumped to Buggy and Kuro, and then Don Krieg and Arlong in the. Well, I don't know if Don Krieg's gonna be in here in the story, whose bounties are all over 10 million, and Arlong's up to 20. So hers, they were scaling up to get there. But yeah, she's looking for Zoro at this point. So I know she mentioned Zoro in the manga anime too, where she's like, what is it when is it when Luffy showed up and she's like, oh, no one would be looking for me other than Roronoa or Zoro. But I think no, I'm pretty sure she says in the manga like that at that point in that version, she heard about him being strung up at Shell's Town. Yeah, so she wasn't worried about him in that version. So they changed that a little bit, but that's fine. What's going on here? Uh, so next, also the one took a screenshot of this. This is some unique kanabo she had. I'm trying to remember if that was shown somewhere. I don't think it was in the manga again. So that was really neat that they had this little different weapon. So this is where Kobe and Luffy meet in this version. They're on Vito's ship. They brought aboard the barrel because it was floating near the ship. So I'm guessing her crew just thought it was a barrel that fell off the ship they raided. And so we get Luffy here, and Luffy here in all this episode impresses me. That's one of my other favorite things is that he's his common sense in many ways, in the way he talks to people, is much better. He still does some silly things that fits his character, and I like it because it progresses the plot. But I like the changes they make in the way it especially comes across well in here and how he talks to like Kobe, Zoro, and Luffy, Nami, and how he convinces them that he's different than others. And right here he talks about too like I'm a no, did he say here where I'm a good pirate or you've never met a pirate like me? Um where was that? Yeah, wait a second. Uh, uh oh yeah. Also in this part here, like he's looking for food and he instead of an apple, he's grabbing meat, which we know is his favorite food. Uh Wait, where was that bit? He says, "Oh yeah," and the bit here too. He starts off here too talking about how he's wants to be free. So right away he gets into this philosophy of sorts here that he starts emphasizing to the other. He does it with Kobe and Zoro especially in here, and I love it. And he talks about, "Oh, I want to be free, and you shouldn't let other people tell you what to do." So he does a really good job with that. So we get our first flashback here too, and this is we do this with back in what's the name of it? Windmill Village. Um, and we see a little young Luffy is waiting for Shanks to come back. He's doing some kind of calendar. What is that? 3, 4, 8, 12, 16. What is that? What are we? 7, 14, 21, 25, 26 days. Oh, okay, he's doing something there to come to wait for Shanks to come back. So at this point, Shanks must have been hanging out in East Blue. Uh, I'm not sure if he had any other specific goals. Was his actually? Now I think about that, was he there because he was looking for the gum gum fruit? These are still questions we don't have answered on the part of him. Whether or not he knew about whose ship and what Shanks gained from there. I have a feeling he did. He was like, this feels like something that is important that we're because Oda's so good at this. He'll give us information about some kind of incident, but not everything that's surrounded the motivations, what characters learned, what they knew. They're so good at like giving us like what there. So the God Valley incident is another good example because we know that Roxy Zebek went there, but we don't know why. What made him want to go there? What did he know? I speculated that he might know because he might have known quite a bit about what's going on there, and that's why he made it his target for some kind of goal. But for whatever he wanted to achieve, he knew what he was going to achieve there if he succeeded, more or less. And I feel like Shanks was on board with something like that too, where he learned something. In this case, Shanks may have learned something from someone else, and then it's like, okay, there's a special fruit. We can speculate. I want it for some reason. He talks about its value here. Uh, so it makes it sound like he wants to sell it in this version, but I always wonder if he knew what it was, what the fruit really was about. If someone else told him, because we learn later from Vegapunk how there's no mention of a gum gum fruit in the encyclopedia. So someone else probably told Shanks. I don't know if he's ever had his hands on an encyclopedia there. Maybe he does. That's, but it's not in there. We don't need and what the fruit actually is probably not in there either. So, anyways, tangent. Uh, so also I just realized too, looking at this, they do a good job here of making the ship look like making sure it's Shanks' we know it's Shanks' ship. He's got that the what do they call it in the front? I don't remember what those are called, and we know that's his ship. Uh, Also, so we get here, and we get to see good shots of who is it? Yasa, Beckman, and God, my names are just Lucky Roo. And my favorite, all three are great actually. Again, Lucky Roo is another one where in the anime and manga, he's much bigger, but the facial expressions of Lucky Roo in here are so good that it doesn't matter. He nails the role nonetheless. While Beckman looks more a real 1-to-1 too though in this version. I don't remember Aesop. I have to look it up again. Um, so yeah, we got Luffy here. There's Lucky Roo. He's got the goggles on. You can actually see his eyes in here though. They do a shot where they show his eyes and he pans, and then you see his eyes through the goggles. So he has to see through them. So you can't make them all dark the way they kind of do in the anime or manga. So he's always carrying food with him. I just realized too when I was rewatching this earlier that Lucky Roo, an eating contest among him, Luffy and Bonnie would be hilarious because he's the other character we see chowing down a lot all the time. In his case, he's actually, unlike Luffy and Bonnie, he's actually carrying something with him all the time, as you see right here. So there's the box we see with um, gum gum fruit. and later they'll show up, but there's a logo on it that shows the world government. So they're just embarking here. Also, I took this screenshot because you look there, they got some other boxes from the marine ship. So this looks like some of this you could say loot they got here is looks like they probably took it off of who's ship. That was oh yeah, and there's shots here of Griffin many times that are there clearly with him too. So he did a good job with his sword. You know, just like Wado Ichimoni, Zoro's sword, they do a great job of showing his sword strapped on his hip all the time. So Luffy here clearly is trying to wants to join the crew. They do the scene here instead of being in the bar. They switch things a little bit here. They get all the main things across. They do this a lot, and they so he's talking about joining the crew here. Like this is his fifth attempt now. He's pitching himself to Shanks, and they do the scene here where he's pitching that, and then he cuts himself rather than it being in the bar. I think after he ate the gum gum fruit. Um, by the way, this shirt Shanks is wearing, where can I get one like that? That kind of loose white shirt. That looks like something great to wear in the summer. I want something like that. Also, what was this supposed to be? Was this something in the anime? A manga? This looked kind of important that Shanks was holding, so I took a screenshot of that. So I was like, what's going on there? There's Beckman again. Beckman looks great. Shiphead? What's the name of that? Alright, so anyways, we see Luffy. Oh, he cuts himself. I didn't get a screenshot of it. I don't need to. He cuts himself there. And we get back to that later. So let's see, what am I missing here? I feel like there's something that's missing here. Okay, yeah, Luffy says something great here too. This is where he talks about why he wants to be a pirate again. He makes a good point right here. Like he says things in a way where I like he his logic of sorts. Like he said here, oh everyone Kobe reminds him like every pirate in the world is looking for One Piece, but Luffy's like, well I want it too. Why shouldn't I be the one to find it? Why who makes those other what makes those other people more uh uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Why are they more what's the I can't think of the right word for that. But anyways, he yeah, he says several things in here that like are more realistic of him of a person. Like so Luffy in a anime and manga feels kind of a little too it's like a caricature or something where he's not saying logical things that he should because he just because of how much Oda is making him like a a kid with all these dreams and that, but he says things here in a more logical manner, and this was one of my favorite ones. Um, so next thing we got here is where he him and Kobe prepare to like leave. Well, actually, in this version, Kobe he one thing that's also changed next here is Luffy plans on leaving, and Kobe wasn't gonna leave with him. And Luffy, it's just accidental that Luffy awakes the crew here. It looks like most of them were sleeping on the upper deck. And oh wait, there's a mirror right there too. And Luffy accidentally wakes him up and talks smack to Vita basically, uh, and ends up having a fight here. Uh, And Luffy does really well here. They have it here where Luffy mostly doesn't even fight with the other ones. He just keeps dodging Alvida's attacks, and she knocks out multiple men of hers on her own. And then he shows off his devil fruit in a few ways. Like right here's my favorite one. He takes a gunshot there, and they do some great CGI. Well, some of it's off sometimes, but this CGI is great. Where it's him, the bullet goes through his sternum and just bounces in the rubber. So and then goes. Then there's this one too, and so anyways, the bullet goes back. I think it's not killed someone actually. Also, there you can see Luffy's definitely not going to be wearing sandals right now. Maybe they'll have him do something like that later. But this CGI was probably the sketchiest, where he wiggles away from Hakanabo and It just looked a little bad, but it's like it's okay. And he stretched up here. So he dodges all her attacks. This is my favorite one because it's also in a manga. Was this in the manga? Definitely in the anime where he takes the attack there. And my favorite thing about this is like, okay, how did that straw hat not get damaged here? Because later, in the next, where Buggy fights him, it cuts through the hat. But here, the Kanabo like did nothing. And once again, Kanabo, hello. Anyone else? Does anyone else not think? Did I say this in a video? I just thought a few weeks ago, like, what if Alvita was Kaido and Big Mom's kid? Because she's a large person, very strong, carnivore, likes and in the other version she wears all these rings like Big Mom. she just and she's in the right age to be young. Everyone thought Katakuri was Kaido's kid, but Kaido is only 10 years or 11 years older than Katakuri, so it doesn't work. And they didn't. And Big Mom hadn't even met him at that point either when he was a kid. They didn't meet till he was 15, I think. So yeah, she tries all she can to hit him, and he's just too fast for her, and his rubber powers are blocking her attacks. So Luffy does his first Gum Gum pistol here, which is very effective. And this is the part from the trailer that um looks a little bad too, but it works. I'm not complaining about this. They're doing everything so well. The minor things like this aren't gonna bother me. There are other things that happen. There's one thing that happens later that bugged me still. And I gotta see what other people say about it because I didn't get it. But so he takes Alvita out there into the water, and then everyone else is like, "Nope, we're not messing with you." And then he tries to get Kobe to come with him. And again, yeah, Kobe doesn't like stand up to her like he did before, but he comes with Luffy, so he's making steps. So having him slowly build up his gaining his gumption in here. So now we get to this island here where Zoro went, where he dropped off the other ship. And this is one of the best scenes because this is something I think was only mentioned in Broke Works. Maybe Oda elaborated on it. This is what Broke Works is brought into the story. And so, also, I took a picture of this matchbox. I was trying to see if that was something maybe they made up. Beast of Baldum. So Zoro's here. Uh, this island has like these things where you light candles for uh, what do you call it? Praying for lost souls, praying for people who passed away. And this is where Mr. Seven shows up, and this is where they're trying to recruit Zoro. And I have a few questions about that too. So when they're trying to recruit Zoro, was it Crocodile that wanted to recruit Zoro, and then he dispatches uh one of the agents who are closest in the uh East Blue to talk to him? By the way, I wanted to look up something. I'm trying to remember the other seven, the other agents. Where was the one that Vivi worked with again? I gotta look again. Here we go. Hold on, I'm confused about Mr. Nine. Oh, she was with Mr. Nine. Wait, that's Mr. Seven in the thing? Wait, what? Wait, that's Mr. Seven? I thought Mr. Seven wasn't. Who was the one that? I thought that was Hmm. I'll have to look into that later. Okay, so they had someone else. It's Father's Day. That's the guy. Isn't that the guy who had the bomb at the Alabasta Capitol? That's weird. So who does Zoro fight? Does Zoro not fight somebody in I know he talked at Whiskey Peak about being recruited, but he I don't know if it was ever said who recruited him. I thought maybe it was Sister Seven. Uh so anyways, yeah, Mr. Seven comes in here and I like the way they dress this guy, but he's got a pretty cool outfit, except I don't care for the frilly things. This guy again, who I'm wondering who I know that part was from the anime. Who they wanted to recruit him because they have all these other bounty hunters, for example, on Whiskey Peak that that are helping bring in finances for Brogue Works by nabbing pirates that land on their island. So when Zoro refuses his offer, oh yeah, here's the business card. It looked cool. And he's got the cool logo that did Crocodile make it up with? So it's got like two rapiers going through a skull, and then we got a pair of wings. So Zoro declines the offer, obviously. By the way, this is I think Zoro's main outfit throughout the entire East Blue. And the next episode it changes, but he's got the bandana, the swords that was in the other shot, and he's got the white shirt, and they got the earrings, of course. So that looks great. Um, so when Mr. Seven is declined, I guess I don't know if this was something we would do, but maybe because he didn't want because he's a secret organization, he doesn't want someone to know who he is. So that's something that bothers me too, though. How does someone like this guy or any of these agents introduce themselves if they chat at a local bar in East Blue or the Paradise area so that no one knows who they are? I'm assuming he's doing this here to kill Zoro because he introduced who he really is. So once he does it and then this offer's declined, he's like, I gotta kill him then because I can't let them know who I really am because he's a bounty hunter that works freelance and so could technically, talk to the government about what he saw today, even if it's very little. And we see that they don't know a lot about Baroque works, uh, and so he's gonna kill Zoro here. So that's a question on my mind. What did he? Did he tell someone else his name is? Oh, I'm just seven. People just call me seven, because that's my lucky number. I guess that's what this guy could have done. If he's like hanging out at a bar, he's gonna hit on a chick or chat with some people. Yeah, they just call me seven. Anyways, him and Zoro have a great fight here. Where Zoro ends up using his two black swords. He doesn't even need Watto to fight Mr. Seven, and I didn't get a screenshot because it's very gory, so I'm not gonna show it. But he just slices Mr. Seven right in half, takes him out. Oh, that's by the way too. All the other agents other than Bon Clay have a female partner, but we never saw Mr. Seven's here. And he had that one. I think she had like a frog outfit or something on in the anime. So we never see that in this episode. So I don't know if he still had like her waiting on the ship, and when he didn't come back, they just left. Uh, so back to the flashback. How did we get back to this flashback? How did that just shift it? Was that after? Give me a second. Oh yeah, that's right. Because Luffy and him were talking. Oh yeah, so yeah, because Kobe was asking how Luffy got the gum fruit. So that's where we go here, and let me go back a second. Uh, so we get the point here. I like this bit. I don't recall Shanks saying this, but Shanks says the scars. Scars are meant to be about like what the lesson you learned. Like when you get a scar, that's a reminder of something that happened, and you learn from that. So he's in this case, he's referencing how that scar came from Blackbeard, and Blackbeard caught him off guard because he didn't think Blackbeard was a tough customer, and then that's just how he points this out to Whitebeard later. Like, hey, I wasn't caught off guard. No, did I just say that? If I did, I messed it up. I wasn't caught off guard. Well, yes, in a way. I was like yes and no, right? He didn't realize how strong White Blackbeard is because Blackbeard's this guy who's been like laying low on Whitebeard's ship for 25 years now. Um, oh yeah, and yes, I've got the bandana on there. That's great. Um, so yeah, this is the part where Luffy he's upset that Shanks won't let him join the crew. So he goes in the back where they have some of the loot. And I'm surprised there's not a better lock on this though. He opens up the case very easily, and there's the World Government logo again. And we get this great presentation of the gum fruit, which still doesn't really look like it's real fruit because it's got that weird glittery, shiny look. But Luffy, the funny thing too is Luffy eats the whole thing. They don't really make a point of why. It's like he's not really hungry. It didn't make it sound like he is, and he ends up eating the whole fruit here. Um, and then this is where we get that bandit. And I don't remember his name, but so he shows up, and this casting was great too. And he starts trouble because he wanted to, he comes with a few men or more, and they wanted to get some drinks. but because of all of Shanks's crews there, they've the bar is so loud. So we get this scene here too where they do it a little differently too. Also, Beckman's a great in this scene right here. So Shanks apologizes. Says, "Here, I got there's some whiskey still in this one bottle. You can have that." And this guy, instead of in the anime manga, instead of him hitting Shanks over the head, he ends up dropping on the ground. Actually, I should stop. I like how Beckman, the actor playing Beckman, does a really good job acting kind of cool, but then keeping his eye on this bandit. Like, I know you're trouble right from the start. He just kind of stares from that. Instead of playing dumb, kind of like the way Shanks is, he just kept staring down the guy, the bandit. So he does great there. And by the way, in the background there, I like that this bar has like some kind of neon lights. Like there's not supposed. I didn't think there was much supposed to be electricity in a One Piece world, but they had that in the background. Not, it's not a bad touch. It just looked a little out of place. Oh yeah, there's this spot where Lucky Rouge too, where you can see his eyes. I was talking about earlier. I thought that was great. So him, yes, that we're playing some kind of game, and then they're watching when the scene breaks down. But Shanks plays it cool, of course. But then Luffy's watching here. See, and there again, there's Beckman just watching the guy. I like how he's got his like, I'm gonna keep my eye on you just in case. Right there too. He's like watching the other men. Such a good scene. Um, yeah, of course Luffy's not impressed by this, and so the other guys leave, and what's her name, Akino. Again, I said this earlier in the stream, but she's got like regular sneakers on that look that do not fit with the rest of the scenery. Look at Shanks's kind of like sandal like things. Her shoes, they should have got her something. Come on, uh, just minor little things like that look a lot of place. Even more than a neon light, that shoes are kind of weird. Um, So here's the scene too where Luke Shanks. This is where they combine the scene from earlier, where in the story before. Luffy had been here trying to pitch essentially, I want to be a pirate, and now they do the part but they still do this scene with the part where they realize Luffy's ate the fruit because he grabs his arm and he starts stretching there. And once again, too, look at his sword. He's got the sword and all these shots. Where was the one I just had? Yeah, he's always got Griffin there. It looks great. One thing though, oh yeah, it is on his left hip, so he might be using his right arm. I was just looking at that because I was looking at the flashback of Shanks as a kid when Roger and Whitebeard were fighting that and that from the at that island where Odin was there, and from that viewpoint, we saw Shanks and Buggy as a kid there, and he was holding a sword in his left hand, and there was someone else I watched was pointing out what if that was Shanks' dominant hand. So now he's learning to fight. Ever since then, he's had to fight with his right hand. But they have it on that same hip. I'm gonna have to look in the anime and manga later to check that. I'm not sure. So this is back to the present, and then here's that scene from the trailer where Luffy's got his does the little pulling his thing instead of him doing it on Alvida's ship, he does it here to Kobe. Oh, that's another thing. That's one of the other kind. Luffy has some good quips in here too. I forgot the one he talks to Alvida and she's like, "What kind of person are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm the stretchy kind." He got some great quips in here. Another interesting scene was funny because I guess that's supposed to be Alvida's ship in the back right, blowing up from the fire from the uh from the fire when he was fighting. Also, one more thing. Wasn't there. Wait a minute. Was that. Oh, yeah. This scene is also good. I forgot to put a screenshot of this, but. Um, this is the part in here where I like Kobe, what Luffy does too, because he talks to Kobe, asks Kobe about his dream. Kobe tells him about being a Marine, and Luffy actually smacks him here for not when you don't want to tell me. Wait, how do you say that? Oh, that's right. He's like, he's mad. He was a little upset with Kobe for not telling him what his dream is, and that's when he gives him a hit in the face. Like, hey, just tell me your dream. I'll believe in your dream. We're friends now. How do you say? We shared a meal. So, you know, let's get to that next island with a marine base, and I'll help you become a marine. So he really I like this too because it reminded me back to how him Luffy Sabo and Ace they share little sake I think it was, and then that to them officiated themselves as brothers. Um, and so that seemed like he's doing the same thing here. We shared a meal, we chat together, we're getting along, we are friends now. So that was good. That was a good scene. So now this is where Nami's introduced. Where is this now? Man, I'm only halfway through this or so. Nami's introduced, and this is the scene that was used in. This is what shows up later, and they're tying it in now. So Nami, of course, didn't show up at this arc at all in the manga. I know she showed up with Alvida's ship. I'm trying to think if she shows up at Shell's Town in the anime. Probably she's sneaking there in that one. Now I gotta go look. But so what she does here is this is the part where she does this later. She does this in the manga. She's pretending she's on a shipwrecked or on a little rowboat that she's suffering from dehydration and stuff. And Buggy's two crew members on a little ship get on her ship to her little boat to try and like help her. But then they see she's got a treasure chest and she uses that as diversion to steal their ship. And those are the two guys I think that were in the manga. They take that in the manga. Those guys are in that ship, and when Zoro and Luffy are in their own little ship, the same one that him and Kobe on, and Luffy gets caught by the bird because he was trying to catch it. These two guys try to take out Zoro when they didn't realize who he was, and he takes care of business. I'm pretty sure that's the same two guys. So that's hilarious. They really intertwine this a little bit differently here. Is that the same two guys? Let's see. Quickly check. Uh, hmm. Should have checked it. Oh yeah, there's three of them in the. Oh yeah, there's three of them in the manga. Yeah, and she did the same thing though. Yeah, yeah. There's three of them in the manga. The same thing. But now they're doing this earlier, and she gets this map. Is that from their ship? I think that was supposed to be from their ship. That was a nice little image. I wanted to put that in. Um, and finally we get to Shell's Town, the main scene of this episode. Oh wait, there's some prisoner there in Iraq. I didn't even notice that. And so, so this is where we're gonna bring in Morgan, and we get a lot of images of him like that one. And oh, by the way, in this one they show Luffy and Kobe here while they're looking at these uh, posters. They show two other people that weren't in. They didn't show in the trailer. Buggy and my favorite. Look to his left. They got Django there. They showed Django a little earlier, right next to Buggy. Uh, and there's other little wanted posters. I wish we could have seen those. See who else they're hinting at. So we see Django there, uh, as his own wanted poster. That's funny though, because how do they put that in the anime? Because later Captain Morgan's gonna brag about catching Kuro, and instead he defeated the Black Cat pirates. But I'm wondering if the way that was implied when I first listened to it, I thought that meant that he assumed and the Marines assumed that the pirates were all captured. But Django's clearly out there with the crew. He's effectively the captain, and Akiro's doing his undercover thing so he can get a lot of money and retire. But he's there, and I love that. So then this is where there's a map on the left. I didn't even notice that. So this is where they intertwined our three heroes at this point in the story. Luffy and Kobe are eating a meal before Kobe Luffy wants at this point go into the base to get a Grand Line map. Nami's there to do the same thing. She's got the ship still from Buggy though. Zoro's coming here with Mr. Seven to retrieve a bounty. This was interesting too. If they don't know much about Baroque works, I know he's got the seven. That guy had the seven on his face. But what kind of bounty would he have? Does he have his own wanted poster that he can? So maybe Zoro would get like, I don't know, 5 million buried or something. What would a level? What would be the bounty on those agents if there hardly anyone knows about them? Let's see. I'm trying to think. What would be bounties for like Mister One? Uh, Crocodiles is frozen at 81 million at this time, but then later we find he gets to like 1.9 billion after the time skip. Uh, so I'm just wondering what the bounties would be. The officer agents, like, they probably do the Marines? Did they know enough about that there were these 13 officer agent pairs, mostly pairs, and they would have bounties for them? Clearly, that's what they had the intent here. So he's shown up there for that. So I know he was in the bar in the original, in the other story, and then he caused trouble with Himepo, and that's what got him strung up. So they're tying that all in, but now they're having it happen presently with Nami and Luffy and Kobe there, and Himepo's there, and I think Himepo was part of what made him get strung up in the first place. Um, so he comes in there. Also, I like this scene with this woman here. She was not. She looks at that thing and she knows. She figures out right away that at Mr. Seven's corpse, and figures out, oh, this must be a bounty hunter. And she just not. She glanced at it. I didn't get the shot, but she glances at it like, oh, okay. Anyways, and gets a drink for Zoro here, and then like, okay, something she sees a lot around there, even in the East Blue, which is supposed to be the tamest of the seas, more or less. And we got that little girl there who was very cute. The one who feeds Zoro, and they intertwine her story a little differently, but it was great. And then the main thing we get here too is not. I like how they did that. That poor guy. I felt bad. Like, Nami. So Nami's plan here is to get a one of their uniforms, but she's hit. So she plans to hit on one of the Marines with the right size, and she turns that guy down and talks to this guy because he's the right height. Oh, there's Zoro right there. I didn't even notice. So this bar obviously has all the Marines hanging out because this is a small little town, uh, run by um, oh, run by Morgans, um, run by Morgans as the base, and yeah, she knows what the map is there. Actually, and I don't have the shot here. Shoot, that's right. Give me a second, cause I thought about this after I finished taking these screenshots, so it like came at the end, but um, where is it? Kathy, what's his name? This guy is right there too. They show him briefly right here. So Buggy, at this point, we find at the end, is scoping out the place, and I sent him to go ahead. So, and he's avoiding looking at Zoro for reasons we'll find out later. So they changed that up a little bit. So he's scoping out the place. Oh, and Nami's right over there in the back. I didn't even see that. Is that at the same time? Yeah, that must be before that. So Nami's right there before the other Marine hit on her, or he didn't hit on her. He asked her to have a drink with him, and so I just like how they're tying in all these actors together. So we got Luffy. How many we got there? We got Luffy, Nami, Zoro, Kobe, um, Hamepo, and then Kafle. What's his name? No, something else is there. Wait, hold on a second. So I had to bring that up because I took it later, the screenshot later. So what ends up happening here though is that little girl wants to have Zoro try out her rice cakes or whatever she's got, and then she bumps into Hamepo in this way as he's coming up, and this is where Zoro, instead of the scene where she's feeding him out in the barracks, the rack or whatever it was where there's prisoners, he he picks up the food here and eats it to like say no, don't waste food, which is a neat thing because we know Zoro's got this kind of compassion toward good people. He and this thing was looked like something Sanji would do, but they gave it a little moment of similar with him, and so what happens here is this is how they break down this incident. Well, this time though, Luffy and Kobe and Nami are also present, watching. As you can see, the two are in the back there, and Nami's at the bar on the other side now. Um, and yeah, Helmeppo, of course, being thinking he's a big shot because he's son of Morgan, has a sword and tries to fight with oh, he's got Converse on. Fight with Zoro here, and oh yeah, this is when Nami took out that guard when everyone was looking the other way, of the Marine. Oh, I didn't give him any screenshots of it because it wasn't. It was like you could go watch it yourself. But Zoro ends up doing a great choreography scene here, fight scene here, where he's fighting these Marines, but he never once uses his sword to cut any of them. He actually ends up using a number of kicks that takes them out, which is something I don't think he's ever done in the story. Is kick anyone. I'm trying to think. He might have even punched people a few times more than he's ever kicked anyone. So he ends up taking out these Marines who try to take him down, and then ends up when the others back off, he's like the Hamepo ends up taking him to Morgan's because he wants to get his money for Mr. Seven. And this is when we get our introduction to Morgan's, who has a his axes, and this office for him is a great set. Also, it's very cold. The only thing I didn't like too is like Garp's ship later is shown, and it also looks like that, but it's very cold and dark looking. It is fit for Morgan, but when it was Garp's ship, I didn't like it. So he's there, and he's got all these axes back there that we see more later, and he's always sharpening his axe. This guy's obviously very proud of himself at this point for uh thinking he caught Captain Kuro. So he talks with Zoro here, and here's where he hits Homepo. So he's trying to he tries to get Zoro to say, "Hey, why don't you be join on the Marines, work for us?" And but then he tries to take away, say Zoro, you can't cheat him out of his bounty anyways, earned bounty, because saying because you hit other Marines, that's punishment of 7 days out on the rack or whatever. And so he forces Zoro here to like, if you want your bounty, you're gonna have to take your punishment first for harming my Marines. Otherwise, you can just leave. And then yeah, he hits Hamepo here, just like you're a pathetic son. Also, look at that painting in the background. Uh, so this is where we're gonna go a little scene that's cute with Hamepo and Luffy, and well, Hamepo's contemplating how weird it is that the Marines have these bad eggs, and Luffy does another great moment where he's like, "Hey, the bad pirates are good pirates. I'm a good pirate, as you can see. That means there must be bad Marines, and I know you'll be a good Marine." It's a great moment. He's really good. He does so many of these. He's so good at conveying. They're so good at writing it that make him convey his thoughts in a way where he's getting people to think, "Hey, the world's not too black and white," and he does a few other ways. And then there's a scene here where he's like his plan now. They change this too. His plan. This is another change I like though. He instead of sneaking in to instead of using the stretch, he stretches up to a wall and knocks down Morgan's statue that he had been erected. He decides to use like the stewards in this version to get in there. So the next morning, we're supposed to have Hamepo teasing Zoro about hey like and what walking around instead of the cutlass, nice rapier like cutlass he had. Now he's carrying Zoro's Wado Ichimoni, and there's another great picture of these looks of Morgan. uh, it's just too much stupid. And these shots here of Zoro are great, where they really like. Oh, I didn't get the others. But he really looks like a demon in this scene where he jumps at Hamepo and scares him off, and then Hamepo's. This is what Hamepo reveals too. Like, you really think you're gonna get out of here? No, my father's gonna take you, kill you. Anyways, so now what we get to is Nami's attempt to sneak into the Marines. So by this point, actually, it's funny because Zoro, she's the better stealth person, but Luffy has already got in there and he's traversing the uh sewers. But so her plan, she took that guy's outfit from the bar, snuck away, and now she's marching in with these troops, going into the main entrance. Uh, so she's gonna go in that way. No one picks up on it. But then we get Luffy. This is where Luffy and Zoro finally meet. He comes up here and he talks to Zoro about pointing out like, hey, I know you're all of this scary demon and all that, but you helped the little girl. So I think you're a great guy, and you should join my team." And then he points out too that like how he this is another great moment with Luffy where he can see that Zoro. So I think this is what Oda's doing purposely too. There's that term of like a wandering samurai without a master, or however that goes, and a Ronin maybe, and that's what we have Zoro being at this point in the story. He's wandering around, meandering the East Blue. He had a dream, but he's not really following it, trying to work on it this time. He's taking work, collecting bounties and catching pirates. And Luffy points this out to him, which I thought was great. Hey, you are a. I know you have a. Luffy picks up on it. I know you have some other dream. What is it? And then Zoro talks to him about it, and so Luffy unties him here. It's funny how easy it was too, because in the anime he had such a hard time doing it, and I think was Kobe there to help some of the. I think he used one of Zoro's swords to cut him off right as Captain Morgan was going to kill Zoro and Kobe. I mean Luffy and Kobe, but they change it up here where like Luffy gets into Zoro's head in a great way, where it's like, hey, I know this is not all you want to do out of your life. I'm gonna free you because you should be going out there and achieving your dream. This is not right. So Luffy's like this self-help guy in here. Self-help. He reminds me of like a Dr. Phil type. I don't know if Dr. Phil's stuff is real, how effective that works, but Luffy's like the real life in the One Piece world version of that, where he's like, hey, this is not what you want, right? I know it. Kobe, I just talked to him yesterday. I had this kid yesterday. He he wants to be a Marine, but he's too afraid. I had to smack it out of him. I just have to get into your head. I'd have to get you to remember what you're trying to achieve, and he does a great job with that. He really makes Zoro think about it here, and he even says like, Zoro's like thinking, "Oh, you just want me to be in your debt," and Luffy's like, "Nope, I just think you should go." And Zoro's even like, "What the fuck?" And then he goes back into the sewer and is like, "Can you close this?" Luffy's just like, "Hey, I came, I talked to you, I'm going." So now we get Nami in this room here. This was funny too because Nami, not funny. I just thought this was funny because there's so many maps and scrolls here, and I'm surprised because it seems like it's such a somewhat insignificant base. So now that I was thinking about it more after, I'm thinking maybe this base was like is the main one in the East Blue other than Logtown, and that's why they have so many records. They have quite a bit there. There's like 5 or 6 shelves you can kind of see around here. So Nami's in there trying to uh, find the map of the Grand Line, and she tries to bluff her way with that woman right there about, hey, I'm taking I'm looking for a map to take to Morgan later, but she's like, no. Then she blows it big partially because of that, because Morgan has all those kind of important maps private held in his own office. Then that other guy shows up here to that recognizes her, and then so ends up having to take the two of them out here, and this is really where we start seeing her fighting skills, and she does like some uh, uh, even like some jujitsu type stuff where she captures that guy in some kind of leg lock thing or something, takes the other guy out, and then this is probably the funniest moment for me uh, in this one where Luffy wait a sec um Uh, Luffy falls in from the sewer. Oh, he's somewhere else there. He must have been up. That looks like it wasn't a sewer. I was thinking it was like a air vent or something at first. But he falls in here, and then he was eavesdropping, and him and Nami have this moment where they're like looking at each other like, who's that? No shit, don't want to see me. And I was laughing my ass off at this yesterday, and then he calls her bluff. Where is that? He calls her bluff by saying like where was it that part too? Oh, not that's what it is. I like how he tries to say like, oh, I know you're not Marine. Don't try to. You're not gonna fool me with your disguise. I'm coming here for my map, and then they argue a little bit about the map. But I also like this because Luffy. This is something that was sometimes not quite like Luffy and the others in the story. A story is in a case like this, Luffy usually would not know when to quit arguing with someone about something like this, but he does it here, and I love that. That's the thing I love seeing is like sometimes when you argue with someone like that, you know you can't win. just walk away. And Luffy does that in spades here. He's like, "Oh, it's your map. Okay, suit yourself. I'm just gonna go in there and get my map." He just doesn't try to win the argument anymore. And it, actually, like the way Nami reacts here is so great. She's like, "Oh shit, I thought I could win this argument with this idiot because he still has these little tendencies, and she could probably win against him in other arguments, but he knew when to quit here, and I loved it." Suit yourself, fine. And he just starts sneaking in with the look on her face. There it is. Like, what? What? No. This is my gig. You get out of here. I'm not. I mean, he just wanders in there. Also, I love these kind of shots. They do this shot. I don't know much about like photography or for this stuff like that, but I love these shots and where the two actors will be. They always have two of them or more where they're chatting like this, facing the camera, and the camera keeps pulling away, and they keep walking with it, and they do that here where they're chatting. It's one of my favorite things here, too. Is seeing that. It reminds me of this one long shot from I think it was Doctor Who. Yeah, it was the first episode of Doctor Who from the new Doctor Who with Christopher Eccleston, and he came and got this plastic arm thing that he was tracking down, and he's leaving with it out of this apartment building, and the girl who becomes his companion in that series follows him out, and he's walking down the sidewalk. She's following him, and I should be looking at the camera. And then the camera shot just keeps walking away from him, and I just love those kind of shots where they don't have to keep switching. Oh, this face and that face. No, the two are together. They can look at each other. I like more shots. Would like to see more shots like this. Um, so then she gets on. Hold on. Where is it? Uh, so she's trying to talk into Luffy. I think her main thing, I think here, she's trying to stop Luffy from infiltrating this, because then if he does this, he'll mess up her plans. Because then he'll have the alarms raised and whatnot. And but he where was it? Hold on. What's the part I have is here? Um, oh, that's right. So then she like what do you, she questions what's he gonna do? Oh, there's his keys. Okay, that's the point later. She questions where his keys are. Keys are. What his plan is, and like clearly Luffy's here like thinking, oh, I'll just fight my way out if I have to. It's actually funny because he does his stealth here, and this is like what happens later with Impel Down, where he tries to sneak in there, but it doesn't work out. But he just thinks, oh, I'll just punch my way out. And it's good he had Nami here. So then we get this scene with Helmeppo. So hilarious. I'm not gonna show it here, but he's actually naked here, and we get a bit of the actor's rear end, and he's waving around Wado Ichimoni. And I'm thinking, oh god, you have no idea the value of that sword, do you? Like the only thing that would be funny here is if uh Tashigi came later. If say her and Smoker made a visit here, and he had that sword still, she'd be thinking, oh, he's an idiot, but at least he's not a pirate, and then Wado Ichimoni's in someone else's hands. I wonder if he would still take the sword from him, actually. If the sword stayed in his hands, say they came right now when Zoro's tied up, or was tied up, and then saw that sword, that would be funny. Like, would she still want to take that sword from him because he's an idiot? He's not a pirate, but he's an idiot. I mean, later he'll become a Marine, but even then, he's like, this is one of the 21 sword. This is swords in the top 35 or whatever of the swords in the world. Like, so we got the other ones of 50 afterward, and so this sword is well known. Wait, did Tashigi know what Wado was when she saw it? Anyway, he's messing around in there, and then Zoro comes in. So in the anime and manga, Luffy kidnapped Hamapo and was looking for the swords in his room, and then took all three. Oh, wait, there's headphones there. In this case, they have Zoro do it instead, and this is where we see if you haven't noticed by now, Hamapo had long hair at this point instead, and he has short hair, but so that's not going to be that way for long at this point. So let me switch back quickly to Morgan and Nami and Luffy, and this is where we see Nami's chops and being able to improvise really well. And she does a good job in saying, "Oh yeah, I'm from another battalion or a base, and I came here because I wanted to be part of your crew, your thing. 'Cause I heard how great you are." And she stroked his ego there, and it worked well in getting him off their backs. And then the only thing I thought was messed up was like if she wanted to really convince me that I would think she would have thought about grabbing some handcuffs and handcuffing Luffy because he's just walking along there. But I guess maybe Morgan, just thought she's such an idiot. Luffy's such an idiot, excuse me, that he's just gonna go along with the Marines because he believes in the authority of the Marines overall, and especially himself, obviously. But like, oh, okay, she's definitely got some stern stuff because she what do you call it? She's taking him in. Yeah. Anyway, so they go into his office. And I like this from Luffy too. He's like, oh, this guy really likes himself. He's observant of stuff like this, which was great. Uh, and here's our first. I think this might be the first time we see a good look of Addenda and Mushy, although we did see his office earlier. Uh, and I know some people are like empty. Some people are like, who was it? I read. Someone was saying not read. She was saying like a YouTube channel. She was like, "Oh, it's nightmare fuel," and it kind of is at first. But you know what would be creepier if they didn't give the Den Den Mushies eyes? If they looked like snails do when they don't have their eyes, I think I would have been more freaked out. The fact that they have a more human face because of the regular eyeballs, it doesn't bother me as much. And so, oh yeah, look at that big mirror he's got. This is the second time we had a mirror. I forgot. We had Avita earlier with a mirror. She had a crew member holding, and we got Morgan's with a mirror in his office. So they're both clearly very vain people. So hold on here. So this is where we get a little funny stuff with Luffy and them, and then we also like Luffy. This is where Luffy what do you call it? Where he learns about Luffy learns about her let me find the part. Yeah. So Luffy here points out how she criticizes him when he says he wants to find a One Piece. Like you don't even know what it is, but he points out, okay, well, he doesn't say in this words, but he's essentially saying, well, don't you believe? Don't you want to look for something that you wouldn't know is really there? Or like believe, like no, well, it sounds like something that would pertain better to Sanji because he wants to find the all blue. In this case, she wants to map the entire world. But he kind of again gets into her head like he just did with Zoro and Kobe, like, hey, I know you have something you believe in. You're not just a simple thief. Just like he said, Zoro, you're not just a bounty hunter. So he's really good again in getting into their head. But then they also end up talking about food a little bit. And I like how he's like, yeah, food's most important. Hold on. So yeah, they end up finding the safe that they need because it's hitting under his office, and Luffy just plays around with an axe there, and they get this thing, and it looks like it's got this logo under the world government. Um, so yeah, Morgan finds out that what happened when he goes into the library or whatever you call that. I thought this one was funny because Luffy's being goofy again, listening and causing trouble, but he's not causing trouble. He's what do you call it? So he's man, I should turn the light on maybe. Hold on, should I turn the light on? That looks better. I should really had the light on, shouldn't I? No, can you see me okay that way? Hmm. That's actually worse. Hold on. So yeah, this is where Morgan comes in and realizes what's going on, and Luffy and Nami end up pulling the safe out, and uh yeah, this is the scene actually that they actually blew with the final trailer from 2 days ago. They fall out the window and she lands on top of him, and so I was like, I heard people like saying in the reactions I watched yesterday, like, oh, Nami, the Luffy flip around or move around because Nami's gonna get crushed. But the trailer messed that up. Um, Oh yeah, I forgot the part. They got in his office because they stole his keys. Right here, his keys were there. Right there to the right, and then she pickpocketed them while they were talking. She stalled and stole them. Uh, so they get out here, and this is where the big final fight scene happens now. So I'm gonna go over this a little less, because I'm kind of getting to the end of this now. So they get into a big fight here, and this is actually great because we get to see a whole lot of Nami's fighting chops, and I don't feel like did they show enough of that in the anime? I know they did. I think at Eni's lobby, she does a lot of that, but by that point too, she's got that thunder lightning thing that Usopp made for her. But we get a whole lot of choreography here. That's great. The two of them fighting all these Marines. And my one of the best parts too is that Luffy has his has his is hanging onto his hat in almost every scene. They really have to emphasize that. I like that where he's catching it. He's swinging around trying to duck and keep it on. I think they just don't want it to fly off because it just will look kind of odd if he just let it go and do that. So he's catching it every scene he can that they have him doing that. And we get to see Nami kicking ass. And then that's where Zoro comes in too. And he initially is gonna leave and not even help them here. Then he like his sense of honor like how like he so basically he told Luffy I don't owe you anything, but I guess at this point he essentially thinks no I do, I gotta do the right thing. I'm not just some shitty bounty hunter. I have a code of honor, and Luffy's a good guy. So he comes back here and starts just cutting up all these guys. And he's still at this point using his black sword. He still has not pulled out Wado Ichimoni. At this point, only Hamepo had taken Wado out of its sheath, I think, in this episode. It's not until this moment here that Zoro pulls out Wado when they get serious against Morgan. And they got this great shot with the three of them together. So here we go. We get Morgan's coming in. This is where we need like a boss level help because they do a good job. Morgan is not a pushover in this version. He's pushing Zoro back. He even also this shot was great. So when they're prepared to fight, Nami's swinging around her staff and he's getting his sword swinging around, and Luffy's cracking his knuckles. And this guy's doing great too, of course. This shot was interesting. This was probably the best shot too. They have all three of them like squaring off with their eyeball. All four, I should say. This was really interesting shot. I hope they do more of these later on. So yeah, Morgan starts pushing him back. He actually stops Luffy's gum whip at one point and catches it right here. Oh, actually, here it is. He catches it and pulls Luffy toward him. So like they're really making sure like no, I'm not that much of a pushover, which is good to do too because later on we figure out we have Captain Kuro who Luffy has in the story had a difficult time with. So like they always made it look like Morgan was just so easily taken out, but like no, Morgan. Am I saying that right? Morgan is really good in here. He takes them both down, and actually in this fight, Nami, by the way, doesn't really. Even though they showed Nami like standing off against him with the other two, she's basically keeping them, allowing them to focus on fighting him because she, what do you call it? She keeps the other Marines off their backs. In the background, you even have all the in different shots showing her knocking them out still. And I like this shot here too because it even has points where Luffy's being strategic. He's Morgan is fighting Zoro, and Luffy's getting ready to punch him again right here, and he's able to knock him down one time. And we get this great shot, which they always show in anime manga. Well, especially be more in anime, but they show it here where he why did that get moved? Oops, I pushed it. He's knocked back by Luffy and he catches the ground with his axe to slow himself down. That was a great shot. It was funny they did it with him. So I was really glad they did that. Then they have this shot here too with the black sword. I wanted to point this out. These swords unfortunately are gonna get destroyed in a few episodes by Zoro, the two black blades. And they never had names. So they likely weren't even the lowest grade of the Meito swords. And this one though had a very neat design here that you can see across the blade right here. So this is finally the moment where he pulls out Wado and puts it in his mouth. And I forgot to mention it earlier. There's a joke too. Luffy's like asks Kobe like, "Where do you think Zoro keeps that third sword?" And he figured he figured out, oh, if you got two hands, you could have at least two swords. But then he was wondering where the Watto goes, and this is where he pulls it out, and Luffy's like, "Oh, okay, I get it." So this is where he gets serious and knocks. Uh, he doesn't even use any of his name attack. I think this attack was supposed to be Onigiri. Oh yeah, and there's Nami in the background still falling off the riffraff for them. So he uses like Onigiri, and but he doesn't say the name. Yeah, Luffy has that moment a little bit like, oh, you gotta say your attacks. Great fighters always do that, but he doesn't. This is where they did this point too, though. They're also using teamwork, and he takes out Morgan here, and then Luffy does his Gum Gum Whip to take him out, and and then Nami's finally like, they have this moment here where Nami just like looks in disbelief. This was a little funny because she's like, "Oh, you guys actually won," and but Luffy's just like, "Yeah, we won," and it's just like ends like almost like it was dramatic, but at the same time the tension just like goes away quickly. And also, I wanted to know Nami's weapon here was neat because it's like it retracts. She's got this retractable what do you call it, staff. And it's the part where he says the Zoro. Oh, all great fighters call their names. So I'm wondering if there'll be a moment later where Zoro will actually do that, probably against maybe against Mihawk, because his other big fight after that is just. I mean, he fights other people. He's gonna. Kiro has a couple people have to fight. He doesn't. He fights Zoro, then he fights Hachi. I think Hachi is that the name? Arlong Park. So, anyways, they get the safe here. They get the show off that Zoro, he's buff too. Maybe at this point a little buffer than Luffy, but whatever. We can't. Let's not fight over that. Also, what was with this little ship? They had this little ship with the head there. I thought was neat. I wasn't sure if that was referencing anything, but I took a screenshot. So we get a little point here too. Also, we thought there was a few moments here where he comments, "Oh, these we're a crew now," and then this was the point where Zoro and Nami like, "No, we don't get along." And then he said that to Morgan too. I forgot. And the Luffy is like, "Yeah, we're a crew." No, we're not. So this is the final point for Kobe. This is where we get Kobe's ending for this episode, anyways. He's like, "I gotta wait for my friend," and no, I mean Zoro, we gotta hurry and go. Come on, they're gonna come here. And here's where Hamepo comes out with his haircut. And I'm thinking too, oh, you had to waste time with that purple suit to hurry up. You're lucky you made it there in time. Waste getting all that silly outfit on. Also, I like that the pistols aren't some kind of. They definitely look like old flintlock things. They did a good job with that. At least like that don't look like flintlocks I've ever seen and used in other movie props versions. But they I'm glad they're not looking like some kind of revolver or it's definitely a semi-automatic type gun. They did a good job with that. And this is the scene where I like that. Luffy's like, "Oh, what's his haircut?" This is where I feel like him and Zoro kind of will get a start. They had a little moment where they're kind of getting along. He's like, "Oh, what's with that haircut?" And Zoro's like, "Oh, I did that." And I like too. They made sure it wasn't like a clean cut. You could see Zoro missed some of the hair that on his left shoulder. That looked really good. That they didn't make it look um clean cut. um, so this is the part where Kobe comes in and saves the day by taking Hamepa out, and what do you call it? His first punch ever. I was gonna say, because if you've read the manga, you know what he can do later. So Luffy was about to have him come along with them. I think he forgot that they were there to take him to the Marines because at this point he's like, "Oh, Kobe, come along." But this is where Kobe says, "No, I gotta stay behind." And Luffy doesn't drop a beat. Once he realizes this, he's like, "Oh, okay, sure, I got you, pal. Are you sure? I got you, pal." And the only thing I just wrong with this is I also forgot until I rewatched this. He didn't get to have any interactions with Zoro, unfortunately. In the manga and anime, him and Kobe, Zoro, and Luffy are eating together right after they defeated Morgan. So Zoro got to meet Kobe for a little bit and chat with him for some time during a meal, anyways. And he never got that here. I realized that was one little thing I was kind of like, oh, that's too bad. Only Luffy really knows him now. Zoro, yeah, because Zoro got to chat with him more. But uh, so the others are like, oh, what's going on here? Who's this pal of yours? So Luffy's just like, yeah, all right. But they end off by saying, yeah, we're friends now. Don't worry about if we're enemies later. Just remember that we're what we have. We're like, don't let this take. Don't let being a marine take away from what we have as friends. Like Luffy doesn't care about those kind of boundaries of what positions you're in and what good or there's different sides like that of justice and whatnot. If you're his friend, you're his friend. I mean, if you do something like what Doflamingo or Crocodile have done, he's gonna be like, okay, well, no. But anyways, the fact that supposed to be he's gonna be joining the law enforcement of the world. Kobe doesn't bother him. So they leave off there. I like the little wave at the end. And so that's that. And then so we get Zoro, Nami, and Luffy together now in a different way. This, like I said, Nami wasn't with them at this point, but they have her there, and they tie them in nice together. They build up the characters. You got Luffy wanting his feeling like he's got his crew started, even Zoro doesn't really. At this point, though, Zoro in the manga said he would devote himself to Luffy's cause, but I think but waiting for the Mihawk fight in here to do that. It looks like that's the difference they're going for. And Nami obviously until the end of this at Arlong Park. That's fine. So but they're building up her and Zoro's relationship really well to be like, not trust each other. So that worked out really well. They're putting perfectly in the way the characters are supposed to be. So we get this final scene with Garp's ship. Nice. What do you call that? Still can't remember the word. Also, we have this thing there again with the Baroque Works logo. It's probably the same card as Seven had. Some kind of note, and we get another Den Mushi. And that's supposed to be who's got a beard like that? That's not Sengoku. I gotta look up who that might be he's talking to. So he gives a report. No, that's just his end. Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Duh. I keep thinking it would change. Isn't that supposed to change to whoever you're talking to? Thought it was. They're doing it a little differently too there. I just realized that. It looks like his face. Morgan's has the one in his office look like his face. His own face. So that's a little different. So this is where Garp gets the report. He gets a report about uh what happened at Morgan's base, Captain Morgan's base, and he it right away sparks his interest because he knows who it is. And he talks to Bogard, which we got Bogard. I don't did we even see him much in the anime? I know he shows up in the cover story. So he's there and Garp he thinks he first asks Garp, oh, is this about do we get a lead for Broke Works? Garp's like, nah, we'll have to put that aside for now. Well, we have to head over to the Morgan's base. There was a straw hat pirate there. And I like Bogart. Like he's like, okay, I know what to do. I like how he doesn't even tell Bogart set a course. He's like, just we gotta go there. And Bogart like just he's the first mate that Luffy Zoro should aspire to be. um, so yeah, Garp's definitely gonna be like chasing after Luffy a bit here. I think the trailer even hinted at him firing cannons at their going merry later after with that syrup village. So he's gonna catch up at some point. Also, is that a little bathtub he's got in the back right? I think so. So the last scene is what's his name? Kabaji, whatever his name is. He's reporting to Buggy and about so we find out in the next episode a little. I'll briefly spoil that they've been planning to get that same map that the Zoro Luffy Nami has. This guy was scoping out the place for them recently, and he left when he saw what happened. And actually, Buggy's quite disappointed in him. I'm surprised he almost didn't kill him right there. Uh, so this is the reveal of Buggy, and the music is great. And the Buggy is just perfect. Everyone's already saying it, so I won't elaborate. But yeah, This guy's nailing it. He's got all this menacingness, menacing. I just did the review action earlier. It's perfect. He's there. He does the same even same pose that it's done in the manga. I think his other leg was the one up though, but then he's got his bounty poster there, and he swipes it away. I didn't get that here, but he swipes it away, and we see his bounty's 3 times higher than Ovita's. So it's meant to like, hey, this guy's not something to mess with. Ovita was easy. Morgan, he was pretty tough as a marine. Now we got another tough pirate. Don't mess with him. And he's got the blue hair hanging out his head. That was an interesting touch. I'm trying to remember if it was like that before. Was it? I'll look later. So he's got his little throne thing here, and he's doing a little talking about like, yeah, I'm gonna get that map. I won't let anyone stop me. And then he does the laugh we saw in the trailer, and that's like the end of it. Oh, there's the other scene. So that's it. So Buggy, yeah. So what was I gonna say? Yeah, we get to see he's in a tent. We get the outfit looks correct, I think. Yeah, he's got the striped shirt. The gloves I know are correct, and the hat. Yeah, the hat looks right. So I'll go over that in the next episode. I'm gonna do that separately. I've done this a long time now, meaning this recording. So I'm gonna stop here now because my voice is actually starting to hurt from all this. So great first episode. There was only one little thing that bothered me too. Actually, I didn't show it up, but when Luffy, Morgan, and Zoro are fighting, there's a part where Luffy jumps in the middle of Zoro and Morgan's fight, and I didn't understand what that was about. I'm gonna be looking at what someone else brings that up. I'll bring that up later because I didn't know what else to comment on it. It just looked really out of place, but I didn't want to have that ruin the flow of what I was talking about earlier. But that was like the one thing that kind of bothered me as far as how the flow of the plot went. Everything else was great. Nami and Luffy's interactions with everyone, Kobe, Luffy, Zoro, and Nami are perfect. He gets across to them what he needs to. He gets in their head and helps them realize that don't think about superficial stuff. Focus on your dreams. Being a Marine, being the best swordsman, being a navigator, mapping the world. Great dreams for them. And his little comments and stuff are perfect. He's got the little snark going on. He's got I'll have to make like a compilation, I think, of all the little things I liked best. It was just so good. But anyways, I'm gonna leave this video off here and give my voice a rest. Have a good day.